Good morning, class ninth. This is the fourth part of the chapter, The Adventures of Toto. We have already finished the chapter, but we are yet to discuss the question answer. So, in today's session, we will be discussing the textual question answers. But first, have a glance over the past videos. Let's discuss the portion we covered in the last three video. The Adventures of Toto, written by Ruskin Bond. The chapter revolves around a naughty, mischievous monkey, Toto. So Toto is a monkey, right? And the narrator's grandfather, he bought this monkey from a tanga driver, and it cost him 5 rupees. Because grandfather has a private zoo, and also he has compassion and affection for animals. So this monkey is going to this monkey is going to be a part of his private zoo. So he described the monkey as a pretty, you could see the naughtiness in his shiny eyes, and his teeth, they are pearly, but his hands, they are dried up, and he's very quick. And if we talk about his tail, it serves as a third hand. So, Toto was kept in a secret place because grandfather does not want grandmother to make a fuss about it, right? So initially Toto's presence was kept hidden from grandmother, and Toto was kept in a secret place. He was kept he was kept in a little closet of Ruskin bonds, and it opened into the narrator's bedroom, right? So and there is a hook where the Toto was kept tied to it, and they left Toto, and then when they come back, they found Toto's mischief. They found that after a few hours, the narrator found that his room was completely at sixes and seven, right? He could actually, everything was scattered. uh, you know Toto, he actually tore off the ornamental wallpapers. He broke the hook where he was tied, and he also tore up the narrator's school blazer, right? And but it seemed that grandfather liked Toto's mischief in the beginning. Then what happened? So the grandfather decided that he would move Toto to he would transfer it to servants' quarters, right? So he was transferred to servants' quarter, and in the servants' quarter, the grandfather has other animal, and these other animals, they live sociably, right? And who are these animals? We have tortoise, we have a pair of rabbits, a squirrel, a pet, and yes, a pet goat, right? And they have used a different word in the chapter for pet, and it is called tame, tame, right? It can be used as a noun, or it can also be used as a verb, tame, which means tame can also mean to domesticate or domestic. So the monkey did not the monkey, he did not let any other animal sleep peacefully. And the next day, the grandfather had to leave Dehradun because he had to go to Saharanpur to collect his pension. Pension is his monetary fund, right? So the grandfather, he had to take he thought that he would take the monkey right along with him, because the monkey was creating and causing problem to other animals, right? So there was no reason to leave him behind. And also Toto's presence still unknown, right? It's still unknown to yes, the grandmother. So the grandfather, he put Toto in a big black canvas kit bag. It's a very strong bag, and Toto can never get out of it, right? Without grandfather's permission, right? And also he cannot tear it off. He cannot tear it off because it's very strong. So the grandfather put some dried grass on the bottom so that Toto would feel comfortable, right? And when he was coming out of the railway station, Toto grinned. And yes, one more thing, when he was put inside the bag, Toto could not tear it off, but he was moving, and it seemed the bag was also moving because the bag has Toto inside. And this attracted the attention of onlookers, right? The passerbys. And when grandfather was coming out of the railway station, Toto, he smiled at the ticket collector at the gate, and the ticket collector was shocked, and he told grandfather that he was carrying a dog with him, so he had to pay 3 rupees as a fare for this dog. But the grandfather, he argued, and this argument went into smoke because it went it was completely unfruitful because the ticket collector, he did not listen to grandfather, and the grandfather eventually he had to pay him 3 rupees to the ticket collector. Then grandfather was so frustrated, he was so irritated that he took out his tortoise out of his pocket and told him that, would you charge me for this tortoise too, because it's a dog. The ticket collector said no, that it was not a dog, so there was no charge for the tortoise, right? And when the grandfather returned, he narrated the whole incident to Ruskin Bond, and that is why we find the whole incident in the chapter. So the Toto was finally accepted in the house, and now the grandmother is aware of the existence of Toto's presence, right? So Toto was given a comfortable place in the stable, and in the stable we have Nana. Nana is actually a female donkey as a companion, but again here Toto could not resist his eagerness to tease other or to cause trouble, right? So Toto and Nana, they could not become friends because uh, Toto, he caused problem. He was a troublemaker, and he troubled the female donkey, right? So when the grandfather found about it, he did not like, so he eventually he had to be moved. So, and this is not the end of Toto's mischief, because in winter, grandfather gave Toto a large bowl of warm water. It was for him to bath in, right? So he would sit inside it and take bath, and he would also apply soap on his body, and and rub all over like a human being. And when the water become cold, he would come out of it, right? And then he would run to the kitchen fire to warm himself. And nobody was allowed to laugh, because if somebody would laugh at him, he would not take bath. And then another incident took place when he nearly burnt himself alive. And how did it happen? When once there was the grandmother put a large kettle on the fire, and it was actually for tea, right? She put the water in the kettle so that she could make tea. And when there was nobody, Toto came and he removed the cover of the kettle, and he touched the water, and he thought the water was warm enough to for bath. But he was not aware that actually the water was being actually it was on the open fire, right? And he went inside, because it's a small monkey and it is a large kettle, so he went inside the kettle, right? And then the water started boiling, and right, so Toto raised himself a little, but and then he sat down, and he continued jumping up. And the very moment grandmother arrived, and he saved him, right? He took him out of the kettle, because okay. So, and then last but not the least, in the at the end of the chapter, we see that Toto, because Toto is always up to some mischief, he tore things to pieces, right? And he also tore up the dresses of the aunt of the narrator, right, whenever she visited them. And one day what happened, the narrator found Toto eating rice on the dining table, and the grandmother, she screamed. Toto threw a plate at her, and she dodged it, right? But the aunt, she could not, because the monkey threw a glass of water at her face. And then the grandfather came, and the Toto took the bowl of rice, and he climbed up the tree. He escaped through the window, and he ate, because the grandmother shouted at the monkey, at the Toto. So he sat, he ran up to the branches of the jackfruit tree, and then he ate all the pulao, and once he was when he was done, he threw the plate, he threw the dish at the grandmother, sorry, right, and the platter broke into many pieces, right? So the grandfather, at this point, grandfather decided that this monkey is actually the wild monkey, and this is actually the theme of the chapter, that you should not keep wild animals at your home, because wild animal, they belong to jungle, they belong to their natural habitat. You cannot just get them and just put them in your house, because they are likely to cause, they are not likely, but they will cause trouble, not for you and for themselves too. Understand? So the grandfather, he sold back the monkey to his original owner, and so it actually, the grandfather, returned the monkey for 3 rupees. So it means grandfather was at a loss of 2 rupees, and also, what monkey had caused in his house, and the tanga driver, he was at profit, because now he has got 2 rupees, and the monkey too. So that's all we have in this chapter. Now we will be discussing the question answers of the chapter. So the first question is, I will be highlighting it for you. I think I have already, I have mentioned so much in the summary part, that I believe you can easily, you can easily uh, answer all the question answers, right? Because it is not going to be difficult, because I have already taught you, and now we have now we have also discussed the summary. So the first question is, how does Toto come to grandfather's private zoo? It's very simple, right? Because grandfather, he bought Toto from a tanga driver for the sum of 5 rupees, and when grandfather found this monkey tied to a feeding trough, the grandfather thought that the monkey was looking, that it was out of place, right? So that is why he decided to buy Toto, and also he has affection for for animals. Toto was a pretty monkey. In what sense Toto is pretty? Yes, I did describe the that how the Toto looks. Toto is a pretty monkey, right? You could actually see the naughtiness in his shiny eyes, and also he has got pearly teeth. Understand? There is always, there is mischief beneath his deep set eyes. Pearly white teeth, when he smiles, and Anglo-Indian ladies, they're always afraid of Toto. And Toto smiled because of those canine teeth, right? Uh, he has got a quick finger, and his tail serves as the third hand. Now the third question is, why does grandfather take Toto to Saharanpur, and how? Why does the ticket collector insist on calling Toto a dog, right? So Toto, because Toto does not allow any other animal to to sleep. So that is why, because he was causing trouble. So grandfather took him to Saharanpur, and the ticket collector, he insisted that Toto was a dog, and because he does so because Toto is a four-legged animal, he, and maybe it was his intention to get extra money from the grandfather. How does Toto take a bath? Where has he learned to do this? How does Toto almost boil himself? I think we have just discussed this portion at the end of the chapter. Toto takes a bath. He actually takes a bath like a man, right? Because he checks the temperature, whether the water is comfortable enough or not, and he also applies soap like we do, right, when we take bath. And he because monkey copies everything, and he has seen human beings doing that, right? So, and this kettle incident, how did he burn himself? He was about to burn himself. How? Because when the grandmother put kettle on fire, right, and it has a water for heating. So the Toto thought that it was water for his bath, so he went inside. I mean, he jumped into the kettle, and the fire was still burning, and he was not even aware of it, right? And he could have died uh, if the grandmother hadn't arrived there. So why does the author say Toto was not that sort of pet we could keep for long? So I think this chapter includes all this question includes all the mischief of you, if it's a long question, you can include all the mischief, all the naughtiness, or the trouble that he caused in the house. But what is important is that, because Toto creates one problem after another, and the last one we cannot forget, because he started breaking plates, and he threw he tore up clothes, he spoiled the wall, he ate all the food, and also he also caused trouble to himself. So these are the textual questions we have just discussed. So I think, children, that's enough. I think that's enough for today's session, and we have a talk about it. Text. Do you have a pet? Is your pet mischievous? Tell the class about it, right? So this is something we can actually discuss in the Zoom class. So whenever we'll have a Zoom class, we'll discuss it, right? I believe most of you have got pet, and yes, whether it is a monkey, whether it is a dog or a rabbit or a bird, they are likely to cause some trouble. So I think we have finished the chapter, The Adventures of Toto, today, right? So in case you have any questions that if you have any confusions or queries, obviously you can raise your questions, and you can sort out when we will have online Zoom class, and also how to approach me in case you have any confusions. Children, please do remember that you have to when you do the question answers, always remember that textual question answers are compulsory, whether you receive them in your homework or not, right? You have to do it. Textuals ones are compulsory, and the homework that you receive through Ursel, all these question answers are also compulsory. It has to be fade out in your notebook. And also the word meanings, because you will follow the pattern, because first you will write the name of the chapter. I am actually I think I should remind you once again the procedure, right? You will have to write the chapter name in the bold letter, and then you will write the name of the characters. If we have any, we have Toto, we have narrator's grandfather's name is not given, narrator's name is Ruskin Bond, right? And we have a donkey, Nana, you can write about, because this is the name, and we don't even have grandmother's name here, so it doesn't matter. And then Toto, and then you will write the difficult word meanings, and then you will start the question answers, textual question answers. Okay, so that's all for today's session, everyone. We will be we will study the new chapter in the next session, and please make sure you complete your homework on time, because I can see that a few of children, they are not submitting their homework, and this is not commendable, right? So please, before we take any actions against you, make sure you try to be consistent about submitting your homework. Thank you, everyone.